Real scenes of life before me now are shifting one by one. Each actor plays his part and goes, but when each act is done, old memories hover round me, and I'm a boy again. On fancy's wings I'm borne unto the old house in the glen. Oh, sweet the retrospection of those happy days of yore, when by the crystal stream I played that rippled past the door, with Johnny James and Mary Ann, a bright-eyed colleen then. Oh, how we wished the fairies took the old house on the glen. Where are they now, companions of those happy bygone years, when youthful breasts were troubled not with world's hopes and fears? No cares were ours but romp and play. Oh, we were happy then. We dreaded but the master of the old house in the glen, one where Ohio's waters roll, had found an exile's grave. Another rests his weary head beneath Atlantic's wave, and Mary Ann is by me yet, as fresh and fair as when. Together oft we hurried to the old house in the glen. The house now crumbles into ruin, the master's dead and gone. The ivy trees were standing still, the river ripples on. No more upon its verdant banks at midday's heard the ring of merry cherub voices from the old house in the glen. Now, I had a lot of fun digging up that one. I found it on the school's archive, and it popped up again in a book that I rented from the library quite a while ago. Thomas Ryan is someone I'm very, very interested in at the moment, because he appears to be almost completely unknown, even in Tipperary, and even among kind of people into ballads and songs from Tipperary don't seem to know who Thomas Ryan was. So he would have been a bit younger than Charles Kickham, and he would have grown up fairly close to Kickham. Probably would have been aware of Kickham as Charles Kickham as quite a famous man, a famous songwriter in his time. So clearly he's very, very influenced by Kickham, and you can see this in a lot of his writings. I've actually collected about 50 songs written by Thomas Ryan. He went by the name Drangan Boy. A lot of his stuff is published as Drangan Boy, and Drangan Boy appears on his gravestone as well, which is down in the old cemetery in Drangan, and I went to visit that a few weeks ago. So the song, "The Old House in the Glen," this is about a hedge school. Um, Back at the time when Thomas Ryan was a young boy, there were no schools for Catholic children. It was forbidden under penal laws for Catholics to learn to read and write and to go to school. So for him to be literate, to become literate, the same as almost all of these balladeers from that time period, he would have gone to school at what is called a hedge school. So what a hedge school was, because there were no legal schools, a hedge school would have been a kind of a secret, hidden school where a schoolmaster would take the care of the children of people who would be working farms or various jobs during the day and wouldn't have the time to care for their own kids. And they would be taught whatever books that the schoolmaster had at the time. It wasn't really a formal education. It was kind of partially babysitting and partially just teaching these kids whatever this hedge schoolmaster happens to know. To qualify to become a hedge schoolmaster at the time just meant you had to read and write, basically, and whatever books were available, that's what would have been taught at these schools. Now they're called hedge schools because very frequently they would have literally just been a little mud hut or a little shack just hidden behind a ditch, away from the road, away from view. It's very common for a lot of these balladeers of the time to have a song about a hedge school or the master of their hedge school. Because obviously, if you're surrounded by people who are by force illiterate, and you're one of the few literate people who can read and write in your village or your town, whoever taught you to read or write is going to be one of the most influential people in your entire life. And in the case of Thomas Ryan here, it's the schoolmaster that's he grew up in fear of at his little hedge school on the house in the Glen, the old house in the Glen. So the air for this one was quite interesting to figure out. I wasn't really sure what it was, and I went to a singing circle a couple of months ago, and a man sang a song to me, or to us, not just me. It wasn't just me, there was quite a few of us. He sang "The Moon Behind the Hill." Now, "The Moon Behind the Hill" is a well-known song. It's a Kilkenny song. It's one that people in Kilkenny would be familiar with and would know. It was written by a man called William Keneally, who was the mayor of Kilkenny City town. Not sure what it was at the time. So that's why it's so attached to Kilkenny. William Keneally, he also was the editor of the Kilkenny Journal, which is a newspaper that was set up in the mid-1800s and still runs today. It's the longest continually running newspaper in Ireland. And William Keneally, who wrote "The Moon Behind the Hill," was the first editor for that. And interestingly enough, actually, in the application process, when he applied to become the editor for this, the other man that was being considered for the job was the one and only Charles Kickham. Now, after reading a little bit about William Keneally, he was also from Tipperary, from area in South Tipperary around Clonmel. And it appears that the moon behind the hill mentioned in that song, is Slievenamon. So Thomas Ryan would have grown up in the area, influenced heavily by Charles Kickham, and also by William Keneally, given that he lived less than 10 miles away from Slievenamon, the mountain about which William Keneally wrote his most famous song. So with this information in my mind, it clicked to me that the old house in the Glen is written to the air of Slievenamon. and it fits and it works, and I'm 100% certain that this is the correct air for this song. Which is very interesting, and I hope you enjoyed that one. That was Thomas Ryan, A Drangan Boy, The Old House in the Glen.